Welcome, this is Pine Leaf Needles, and this is LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the news in LOTRO, and here at LOTRO Players. And tonight we have with us Andang,
Hey everybody.
Etheros,
Hey.
and Braxwolf.
Hello, Lotro.
And tonight, while we are short on hosts, we do have a bunch of news tonight, unlike the previous evening, so let us get into it. And we'll first begin with a post concerning the music system, where there will be some changes in Update 15. Etheros, could you please talk about this?
Sure. This is a thread made by the relatively new producer for LOTRO, Production Malfunction. It's an interesting name. He made a thread a few months ago introducing himself to the community, and he made a thread talking about the plans they have to update the music system for Update 15 and possibly onwards. Some of the things he talks about is just generally tweaking and fine-tuning the current sounds and pitch, volume, other such stuff like that. And they also have longer-term goals that may not come to fruit, but we'll see how they go, which is string bass and the serpentine instrument. I was actually educated on this thing by someone from in the comment section, so there's a link in there if you're curious as to what the serpentine instrument is, because I had no idea.
All right. So the question then is whether the string bass will be played by plucking or with a bow, since you could play a string bass either way.
Your guess is better than mine, Pineleaf.
All right.
He also... Oh, carry on.
I'd like to say though that this is really good news. I'm glad that they're finally touching the music system because they haven't really made any kind of changes except for just to fix it or add a new instrument in a long time. So I'm glad that they're finally touching this up and making some changes.
Yes, and they are asking that when they do put this up during the beta part of Update 15 on Bull Roarer, that the people who are members of bands test their files to make sure that nothing gets broken as a result. And if something does, be able to inform them as soon as possible so that there's a chance that it could be fixed before it goes live.
Mm-hmm. He also made a couple of follow-up comments about various things. He does talk about the way they will use current ABCs and ABCs from the community that have proven popular to test the update when it ends up going on to Aurora and leading up to it, I presume. And he also gives an interesting set of comments about the whole niche groups of LOTRO, since the music system is perceived to be used by a niche group. And he also talked about the 10% statistic, which someone in the thread quoted back again, because we haven't heard enough about that statistic yet.
Drop it. He said,
Yep,
drop it.
That's his thing. Drop it. Just drop it. He says he will, at least for him, he will consider anything if it is good for the game and for the players. That said, obviously, as always, the resources and time and money do come into play with this stuff, so you can't just throw out anything for a niche no matter what, because you don't have infinite resources. But yeah.
Right.
Still though, it's interesting that they're kind of basically undoing the previous statement now, that they're kind of in their path. Now, obviously, we might still never see any new raids or anything like that, but it is interesting how this kind of got posted.
Very boldly stated.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe one of the differences here is the difference between upper level decision making and individuals on the team pushing for things, because at a certain level you have to use the data to make those higher level decisions. So that's probably where the 10% came from originally, but it got blown way out of proportion. People just assumed, okay, well, they're not going to do anything else if it's for minority groups within the game, which isn't necessarily true.
Yeah. Right. I think it was a balance on the fact is how much resource it takes to do a raid versus the percentages. All that went into it.
as you can read these posts, how they're describing it, you can tell there is a limit to what they can do. As even like he suggests perhaps creating a violin instrument, but they can only add the sounds, not the established animations for it. So they would have to use ones that are already from instruments in game, at least to release it right now or for a future update. It's that sort of thing where like this is feasible because they're making compromises. They can't just churn out a full blown instance cluster like some people are asking, because that is taking way more resources than they have available.
Right.
But yeah, that's pretty much all he said.
All right. The second piece of news is that the experience disabler, which is known as it's the something of the turtle, the turtle item that you put into your pocket and turns off all your experience while you're wearing this, has its price reduced from the old $4.95 down to 100 terabyte points, and this is a change in price and not just a sale. So therefore, if you at some point in the future wish to get an experienced disabler, you now have to only pay 100 terabyte points for it, which is a much better price than the old one.
I gotta be honest, this is the best news that I've heard that I can remember in the history of us covering stuff at LOTRO Players. I know for some people it's not that big of a deal. I'm probably never going to use the Experience Disabler even at 100 TP, but I thought it was just ridiculous that they were trying to charge on both ends of the experience, where you have to pay money to gain experience and you also have to pay money to stall experience. And it actually costs a lot of money to buy the Disabler, but I think that now it's at 100 and it stays in your inventory so you can equip and unequip it. That means essentially for that character, I don't think it's account-wide, I think it's just for that character.
Yeah, just for that character.
You get to now be able to choose whenever you want to turn off XP for only $1, essentially. I think that that's really good. I'm so glad that this change is coming in, because I think that it's really, really needed. Now, if they can just change those War Steed color prices, then we're good. I'm perfectly fine with most of the things in the store if they can change that as well. But we'll see.
Yes, those War Steed dies are a tad expensive, shall we say. Our third piece of news is that patch 14.2 is now live on Bull Roarer. And Brax, could you please talk about this?
Bull Roarer is live.
Yeah. I
haven't been on it yet. I'm sorry.
You haven't been on it. Yes,
No.
that's why I thought you would read the patch notes. Since
Yeah, there are
you
some
haven't
notes in
been
here.
Yeah, they do
tainted by
have
actually
patch
seeing
notes.
What?
They do have patch notes.
Yeah, the
released.
patch notes came up a little bit late because apparently since the person who's responsible for it probably didn't realize that was part of his job, since Sapiens is no longer there.
Yep, but the thing that Drac outlined in the article here is that the Dead Marshes is coming with this update. You return to the cave with the Avarium in West Gondor and speak to the Veiled Lady Dulthanath to basically begin the adventure into the Dead Marshes, where you take a horse and you get to go to the Dead Marshes. There's now a new collections panel using Shift-C that basically has most of your mounts and pets now in a nice and easy way to see. Also, skirmish traits are being increased, and you have to buy them in the store, which is apparently normal according to Pineleaf, and is nothing new. But since we're not having an expansion,
Your way of wording that made it sound something like completely different. What they're talking about on the skirmish traits, there are two things related to the skirmish traits that are changing. One of them is that the skirmish traits, especially the higher level ones, soldier traits, are now being made more potent than they were before. For example, the armor. Currently at the maximum rank, which is 45. If you're rank 45 and you have the medium armor trait on your soldier, it adds 1,000 armor value to it. Well, the update is going to be to change that to 4,000. That's the most radical change of anything in there, but many of the items have been significantly increased in their power, especially in the upper levels. The other item is that they are also adding a new 5 new tiers. That will be from 46 to 50. And that 46 to 50 range will of course be purchasable in the store. And most likely they'll be corresponding to 101 to 105 in recommended levels for that, since traditionally they go up 5 levels above whatever the current level cap is, since 45 corresponds to 100. In yes, Andy?
That's a Thalros.
Oh, that's that throw. Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to mention on the collection panel, it's as well as showing like the certain types of amounts of pets that you can get, it actually provides a certain amount. Like if you collect, say, all the chicken pets, then you get a title for them. So it's you got more titles because we
All
haven't had
right.
enough of those. But as well as
I wasn't expecting you to interrupt my stream of thought there.
sorry, I assumed you were finished.
No, I thought you wanted a comment concerning the skirmish traits.
No.
All right. All right, very well. Now, anyway, some people have been complaining about the fact that you have to get those 5 extra in the store, but in the previous updates, wherever they've raised the skirmish trait level cap, it's always been hooked up to an expansion. So you either buy the expansion or you buy the traits in the store. So therefore the ranks, it's the same thing in this case. Since there is no expansion that's associated with this, with the last level cap, then obviously the only way to get them is through the store. So I think it is logical with the way they have been handling skirmish ranks in the past. Anyone else have any comments about update 14.2?
I would, but I think I've stuck my neck out enough already.
But
sorry.
I do think that the new collection panel is pretty awesome. They like it sounds kind of silly, like okay, you got all your stuff in like this new panel. It's another panel that we have to worry about. Why is Turbine doing this? But actually, what it does is it allows you to see a lot of the different steeds and pets that you might not have been able to see. You can click on each one and view what it actually looks like. There's a little window, and you can actually rotate it a full 360 so you can see the entire model. There's also the ability to where now, even if you don't have the specific steed or the specific pet, you can actually drag their little icon into your toolbar so that you can actually like have that skill waiting until you unlock that pet. So I think that's like there's a lot of cool changes that they've made, and it just makes it a lot easier to use pet skills and mount skills now that there's this new system or new
It helps.
panel.
They also tell you how each one or how you get each one too. Like if you select, say, the first one pit, it'll tell you that you barter for it in West Gondor.
Mm-hmm.
They coincidentally also teased some future pets that will be coming, frog ones, because frogs, why not? One of which is to be coming with the Dead Marshes, and then the rest seem to be for Central Gondor.
Mm-hmm.
So Pelagira, the frog people, I guess.
And Lillicate says, "Froggies, hooray!" So apparently she's excited about the frogs, as you can imagine with her creature obsession in LOTRO.
Yes. Very well. Now, concerning this, of course, we said that one of the new things is a little bit with the Dead Marshes, and I believe Endang created a video on the matter.
Yes, Pine Leaf. Basically, as always, I just went through the new area and did a little bit of a walkthrough, going through, talking about, showing all the new areas and stuff like that. This new area is pretty small. It's kind of the size of the Entwood is the thing that people seem to be comparing it to most. And the interesting thing is that you're not allowed to be mounted, I'm guessing because you don't want your horse lost somewhere in the marsh. Um, so that's, I don't know about that, how I feel about that, but I don't know. I think it's interesting. It does feel really, really slow to not have your mount when you're touring the zone, but I think when you're questing, it'll do a good job of keeping you through. Um, Keep in mind it is beta. They might bring mounts back into there, but I doubt they will. Because I don't know why they'd go through the work to remove mounts if they weren't going to, not have them there. But we'll see what happens with player reaction and some other things. But obviously the main draw of the zone is the whole zone itself, the dead marshes, and it's pretty cool. They have some new type of tech or like environmental things to allow them to create this new area, and there's like all these different lights floating around, and they're not just like white lights or things like that. They actually are like these cool like blue and orange like glowing lights that travel around, and they seem more like a aura or spirit or like something that's almost alive than it does like just a glowing light bulb
Light
like
bulb.
the pet thing. Yeah. Um, so that's pretty cool. There's also this is kind of a spoiler alert if you haven't read the books or things like that, but the actual dead in the water are pretty cool, and in some places there's like hundreds of them just like in the water. It's pretty crazy, and it's very very eerie. It has a very creepy feel, just like it should. And so I think that's pretty cool. The one thing that I thought was weird though is that there's an orc camp inside here, and I thought there weren't supposed to be orcs in the dead marshes because even they try to
I
go
My
around.
opinion on that matter is that the orc camp is new and was brought there as a central point because they were ordered there to look for something. We could make a pretty good guess as what they were looking for.
Yeah, I'm guessing that we probably are going here after Frodo and Sam and Gollum have gone through. And
Yeah.
so I'm guessing that the enemy went through, brought in an orc encampment just to make sure that there's no ring somewhere in the marsh, in case that Frodo accidentally dropped it or left it on a rock somewhere. They're gonna find it.
Yeah, they're gonna find something because they thought they detected some strange activity there or something like that, and therefore they sent in some ground troops in order to investigate.
I wonder what qualifies as strange activity for the dead marshes. Like, as far as like the level of strange, that has to be pretty high on the list, I would think.
Well, yes. Okay, maybe I should have said suspicious activity instead.
Even still, that's pretty surprising. But yeah, I think that you're right, and it is after Frodo and Sam went through, so I think that they're fine putting in an orc encampment there. Plus, there's actually the dawnless day that you can see the cloud covering about half the zone probably, and I'm guessing that the orcs are expanding under that dawnless day, so maybe they feel a little bit more confident to go into the marshes then. Um,
Yes, there is that because they don't have to worry about the sunlight and the lack of cover in the marshes.
hmm And the dawnless day is pretty cool, I have to admit. They made some cool tech improvements on that. Atheros, what do you think about the dawnless day and just the general zone?
Um, well, you pretty much said everything I would have. Dawnless Day obviously is the signaling that Sauron's getting very aggressive now. He's starting to move forward his forces to try and take out Gondor, and that's his the anticipation of it. I think they believe they said they were going to bring this into central Gondor as well, so this is just a teaser for what's to come.
Right,
Uh,
because I think they said the Central Gondor was when we were supposed to be first seeing the Dawnless Day, so I was a little bit
mhm.
surprised to see it there.
Yep. On the Dead Marshes itself, it isn't a big place, as and I mentioned, it's about the size of the Entwood. And in terms of content, I think Fred is in the chat notes that it's about 90 minutes worth, which sounds about right. But the way I see it, this whole zone, this whole area, is simply to show us what Frodo and Sam have been up to. Just to have the ability to do that.
Yeah, pretty much, and just an opportunity to show off the dead marshes.
Yep.
But there's definitely not that much that our characters will probably be doing because we really shouldn't be. Nobody should be
There,
doing
We
anything
shouldn't
in
be there in the first
the
place.
orcs
Yeah.
shouldn't be
Yeah.
there. There shouldn't be any characters there. It needs to be pretty secluded. So
yeah.
um,
I think it's things like this that kind of show, like, how developers like to say that they're as big fans of the books as we are. I think it's this kind of thing that kind of goes to show that.
Lakata says, "Where's the Dead Marshes located on the larger map?" According to
It
coordinates, probably around the Shire, but the actual mount travel, you have to use a mount to get there. It's not actual continuous landscape.
Yeah,
So,
it's not in the actual world.
hmm
Right, because it's instead, if you mean where is it in terms the of the official Tolkien map, then it is just north of Mordor, of the Black Gates.
Yep. But I think the Shire folk need to start preparing for an invasion from the Dead Marshes. I think that's what really needs to happen because those
Oh,
coordinates are right by there. So.
well, yes. Then what we have to do then is, I think that one of the bogs, the Frogmore, just got overrun too much.
There was a
I think
hobbit
it's
that spilt some flour and it just like went into the sky, causing some dawnless day type effect. And there were some hobbits dressed up as orcs that made their way into the Frogmorton and created this camp. I could see
right.
that.
Very well. We'll continue on to the store sales then. Our free sample of the week is a universal solvent times one, and that will be on from August 29th through September 4th. That's a universal solvent with a coupon code of ESSE8, one per account. We also have 20% off of storage, shared storage, vault upgrades, inventory slots, and currency cap. Currency cap removal, of course. And we also have
You're paying for the
a
cap.
welcome back weekend. Right now until September 1st, we have 100% XP. And if you hear this after September 1st, then you can still take advantage of a 25% XP bonus, which will be on until late in the month.
It's kind of nice that
But
that coincided with the turtle tome.
Yeah.
and we will get double bonus points with the LOTRO store from August 29th through September 8th. So this is the time to get some turbine points if you're looking to get some. If you're waiting for a sale. Anybody has anything to say about the sales before we continue?
I'm enjoying that extra XP going through Mirkwood.
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite sales when they do storage and inventory because you can always use it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go into the news at LOTRO Players, and we will begin with the weekly poll on how many hours a week do you play LOTRO? Andang?
Yes, well, as Pineleaf said, we did ask players how many hours a week they play LOTRO. And the top answer was 10 hours a week, with 29% of the vote and 56 actual votes. And followed very closely by 20 hours with 46 votes, and then fairly closely with 30 or more hours at 38 votes. So it seems that people seem to like to play 10 hours or more when the visitors to our site at least. So that's pretty surprising actually. I'm surprised that there were so many 30 plus especially. I know Drac was one of the 30 plus.
Sure, Pineleaf is as well.
I'm sure Pineleaf is as well. But yeah, I was pretty surprised. But it's good to know, how many hours a week our players play, and I thought it was pretty cool to find out just how many they actually do.
All right then. While you're at it, Andang, could you answer me a question? Is exactly how much is a wiggle of crazy?
Well, Pineleaf, you'd have to watch LOTRO Players Adventures episode 29 to find out exactly how much a Wiggle of Crazy was. if that's what you're indicating towards.
Yes,
Otherwise,
that
we might
is
just be having a random conversation about Wiggles and crazy, but all right, so
a crazy wiggle.
a crazy wiggle. So basically, this last week on Adventures, we went through the final two Moria instances, and we were crazy.
A wiggle of crazy, apparently.
Yes, that's an Ethelros line um, from that. So we had a lot of fun going through Moria, and we're finally done with the Moria instances, just so that this week we could go to Lothlorien and do more Moria instances.
One day we'll be out of it.
One
One
day we'll
day.
be out of it, and it'll probably be next week or the week right after, so I'm excited.
Or the week after that.
Or the week after that.
Well, we shall see. Now we have some fiction, of course, as usual, and Tim posted part 7 of the family line, Out of the Wold. Anyone have any comments on this?
It just continues the great roleplay series going through going through Rohan, and he does a great job each time, and the story just keeps getting better and better, in my opinion at least. I really enjoy reading through, and he's getting better and better screenshots each week too. There are some really good ones in here. So and he actually uses like multiple classes to tell his story now, so that's pretty cool.
I do like how he incorporates screenshots into the story, especially like talking about that part of the world. Like, say he's talking about the world itself. He shows screenshots of that area to accommodate it, which is quite nice.
All right. And ending, you also were involved with the video highlight, or at least in selecting it.
Yes, finally, if I did select the video highlight of this week, and this is actually a pretty cool one where it goes through basically giving the highlight talking about various songs and things like that, and basically going through what he's done and showing how the he's basically able to fill his house with all these memories, and it's pretty cool.
All right. And Lily Kate posted an article about the events at the Shire Fest on Crick Hollow, and she has a picture of each of the bands that played there. They were playing in front of the statue in Mickeldelving. And of course, my favorite group in that will have to be the Starlight Orchestra, since that's the one that I'm part of. And I don't know if anyone else was there during the event, though.
Didn't make it. Sorry.
All right. All right. But you can see here, and where Lily Kate, in addition to having a picture of each of the groups, she also had a little Q&A session with someone there, asking them about how they started and matters like that, like how the band get its name.
I'll tell you one thing though, Pine Leaf. Lillicate did send me a sound file of the Starlight Orchestra playing some music from, I think, the Lord of the Rings movies. It's pretty impressive. I haven't been to a concert yet, but now I'm really looking forward to trying to get to one.
Yeah, that one wasn't done by the full orchestra. That was done by a small subset of the orchestra.
Oh, even better.
Right. The full orchestra is 24 members. It's the largest group that you are allowed to have. And I'm sure that Lily Kate is hoping that perhaps we will get violins into LOTRO someday, since that would be perfect for playing the type of music that we play. Since
Even
right
if,
now our string section is mainly lutes and harps.
even if it looks like you're playing the drum.
Well, that's sort of a potential problem on it. If it looks like you're playing the drum, she may amend that decision on it. But the
Or the
fiddle
invisible
is
drum.
something that the fiddle is something that is missing from it, since, or I should say the violin is what's missing from it, since obviously it's an orchestra, so violin would be a more proper term. A fiddle would be what you'll be playing in most other types of bands.
Right.
All right, and then we'll go into Dress to Impress. And this is one of our Lily Kate ones where she goes through the looks of one of the items. In this case, it was the long sleeved summer dress, where she shows you how you get it. In this case, it's a bartered item at a festival during the summer festival. And then she shows you each of the dyes and how they look there. And then she shows a few people using the outfit so that you will be able to tell what it looks like in context of other decorations. And this time she has quite a number of different models doing various outfits for this. So her articles for this Dress to Impress thing are getting more and more complicated each time.
Looks like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, and
Yes, it is.
she actually put out 2 of these this week, so she's been taking a lot of time to make sure that these are good. I guess she was just trying to catch up, actually, but she spent a lot of time on this, so I recommend everybody check it out just because she spent a lot of time on this, so it's definitely worth a look.
Yes, and if you're looking for ideas on how to use the summer dress, then that's the perfect place to go. So we'll move from dresses into poetry, and naturally we have another Estelali poem. In this case, this is part 2 of Estel. We're talking about Aragorn and Arwen, and he's picking up where he left off. Hopeless, gaunt and grim, I left with Anduril, flame of the west, fought alongside men of Rohan and Gondor, and slew orcs, goblins, trolls, corsairs, and more. I helped Gandalf with capture of Gollum, but Undumil's thoughts were never numb. Then fate brought me to Lorien. After 30 years, I saw Arwen. We met in Cairn Amroth. We plighted our troth. I held her hands, looked in her eyes, and kissed her under a Malorn tree. But the world was changing. Darkness rising, I departed to come to Bree. In Prancing Pony, I found the 4 hobbits from Shire. I took them to Weathertop and told them not to light a fire. But the fire was lit, the Nazgul came. I brought them with Anduril, the burning flame. The Witch King struck Frodo with a Morgul blade. I tried to heal them with Atlas, but he began to fade.
Yay!
So I presume that there will be a part 3 to this at some point.
Probably.
But one comment here, though, I have to say is that Anduril did not exist at this point.
Probably doesn't
Yeah,
sound as good to say I fought them with a general average sword.
Or the shards of Narsil.
Yeah, well, Nars. Yeah, I fought him with. Yes, I fought him with the Narsil, the sword that was broken, or
I
something.
threw the
like
shards at them.
Like daggers.
Well, I sometimes get the impression that you still had half a blade connected to the hilt on Narsil, but I know in some renditions it doesn't look that way. But that's always the impression I had, is that you still had half the sword connected to the blade.
Peter Jackson agrees with you.
Yep.
Though Peter Jackson didn't have him actually carrying around the sword, though of course, as Jackson, I guess, pointed out, is it would look rather silly for him to fight in those first few scenes before they get to Rivendell with a broken sword.
Where are we going with this?
I have no clue. So therefore, let's
This is
go
what
to Brax's
happens when we
pick of the
don't
week.
have enough of the hosts on our show. See what happened? People are telling us to get rid of hosts, but this is what happens when we don't have hosts on the show.
All right, Brax, what's your pick of the week, or did you have two of them?
Yeah, it's a two for this week. I've got an actual post, and then I've got an overall blog that I wanted to kind of introduce. The first one is a do-it-yourself, or no, it's not a do-it-yourself. That's DIY. DYK is Did You Know? I got my three-letter acronyms messed up. By Tomi Oric over at tweaklotro.com. It's called DYK Please Barter With Me, and it's a little tip about some of the new bartering that's going on. Actually, it's not all the new bartering. It's all bartering, but people have noticed with the new bartering in Dol Amroth that sometimes you think you've got all the right materials to barter for something, and you get up to the barter vendor, and the barter button's grayed out for whatever reason. I just can't. He's not going to give me my stuff. And I know that Bragg talked about this a little bit on Like the Beacons. He complained about it a little bit, and Tomi Oric, in response, wrote this post up, letting us know how we can tell the reason for not being able to barter with the barter vendor. And I'll let you go over there and read the post and find out for yourself what it is. But if you ever run into that situation, know there's probably a reason for it. It's usually not a bug.
In general, it seems to be you haven't completed a deed associated with the group whose tokens you're using for it.
Right, exactly. The second thing I wanted to highlight is a cosmetic blog, a somewhat newer blog called Style of Middle Earth. And the address for that is, I believe it's middleearthstyle.blogspot.com. And this is a cosmetic blog that posts a new outfit once a week and explains how to put the outfit together and has some nice screenshots. So every week, go over here and check out the new outfits. The current one they've got up looks like kind of a heavy armor captain type outfit, or champion possibly. But I really enjoyed this. I haven't seen a whole lot of new LOTRO blogs popping up. So when I saw this come across my Twitter feed, I asked, somebody said something about posting in a blog, and I said, what's your blog address? And so I went and looked at it, and it's pretty cool. So it's nice to have another cosmetic blog out there. And since Sithrith isn't on tonight, I figured I would try and cover the cosmetic angle as well.
Ah, all right. Very well.
One other thing, though, Pineleaf, before we move on, I wanted to give a really quick update about my extra life that I talked about last week. And I am currently at 13% of my goal. I have $65, so that's cool. Thank you, everybody who's donated. One new thing from last week is that I have come up with a raffle, and I've done it kind of Kickstarter style. So as we reach certain milestones, working towards my $500 goal, we will unlock different Steam games that I'm going to put into the raffle. And anybody who donates to my extra life and leaves their contact information, that's key, because I can't give it to you if I can't contact you, is eligible to be entered into the raffle that I will do at the end of After Extra Life. And there's also a prize. It's not a part of the raffle, but a prize for the highest donation, which is currently at $35. And that prize is a full-blown Civilization 5 game, and it's Civ 5 with all the bells and whistles. So if you want to check out what the raffle looks like and what's available as we unlock tiers, go to my blog at braxwolf.com, and there's a tab up at the top for the Extra Life raffle prizes.
All right. Thank you very much. Now we'll go on to news beyond the LOTRO. And Andang, what's the latest news about Shadow of Mordor?
Yes, finally, this week, Shadow of Mordor released a new story trailer, kind of going over and introducing a new character called Ratbag. And I didn't realize that there was comedy in this game, but this trailer is almost nothing but comedy. And it's really cool to see another side to this game that they've kind of been keeping secret, actually. And basically, it just involves this like miserable, completely worthless, just scrawny orc that you're basically helping to get higher and higher in the ranks and be kind of like your own little pawn that you take through. And the dynamic between the two in the trailer is pretty comical. So I recommend if you're interested in Shadow of Mordor, check out this trailer because it shows a side of the game that we really haven't seen before.
All right. And speaking of slightly zany things, you have some obscurities of Mordor brought in by Zinger Ethros. What's this about these other raids?
Does Ethros know?
Ethros is saying, what?
So this is basically it's under the fan fiction category on our site. And that is because it is completely ridiculous take on Shadow of Mordor, essentially, talking about all these other different, essentially wraiths that they could come up with, including like Elf Ghoul, Hobbit Ghoul, and Dwarf Ghoul, which are basically like different types of Nazgul, and it's just there's a lot of Photoshop in this article, and there's some really funny images, particularly the one at the bottom. I don't even know how to describe this article beyond that, really. It's just pure comedy. I guess I recommend people to check this out. It's pretty cool. It's really different though. But yeah, I guess check this out if you're interested in a good laugh, or you want to really feel like Shadow of Mordor is truly breaking the lore, because this will help.
The elf goal's pretty accurate.
Yep. They're all pretty accurate or funny. It's pretty good.
Right.
The last
Yoga-
picture might give you trauma, though.
You won't be able to sleep for
Yeah,
weeks after
that's
that.
a what?
Cannot be unseen.
Yeah, I sort of like wish I could unsee that one. And that was almost as horrible as the latest post by Iago Marabelli, where we have part 2 of Sauron's Deadly Servant, the Witch King.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Who'd you expect his Deadly Servant is going to be? The toenail of Sauron or something?
Lobelia?
Lobelia, yeah.
Yeah,
The toenail of Sauron. That's a
Just have
pretty.
different body parts of Sauron.
Well, we know
The
about
elbow
mouth
of Sauron.
right?
The chest hair of Sauron.
The pupil of Sauron.
Okay.
What is wrong
Well,
with the
it's a-
show tonight? Like, seriously.
I think it's time to go to the donations. Unfortunately, we did not receive any, probably because they anticipated the rather ridiculousness of tonight's episode. But if you would like to donate, you could go to our donations page where you could help support the podcast at LOTRO Players and also help support the site. We have $5 and $10 mentions where you can donate and get a mention on one or all of our active podcasts for an episode depending on the amount. For $5, you get a mention on the podcast of your choice. For $10 more, you get a mention on all of our active podcasts. And we would also like to get your feedback, but we have no reviews this week. But we do have a featured comment from Cithrith. Yes, I know Cithrith. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard of her. She listened to this while traveling today. So hilarious. Disappointed that I missed such a great origin story. Looking forward to coming back in a few weeks. Steel Blue!
It is in all
Okay,
caps.
It is.
So, that's right. And of course, Tim sent us our weekly origin story. And Etheros, what's this about?
You can pass it on if you want it, though.
I think this is about what Andang is about to tell you.
So, Tim sent in possibly the best origin story we've gotten so far. He says, here's one for Ethelros. It is a quick little one. I don't know about that. It takes up like over a page. But it's a quick little one, but I hope it's to your liking. Tim. Well, Tim, I can tell you it's to my liking, and hopefully it will be to the listeners as well. So here we go with Tim's origin story. Being the son of circus clowns is not very easy. You know it's good when it starts out that way. But the son of Ethel and Ross did the best he could with it. They loved their son so much that they decided to combine their names and named him Ethel, after his mother, and Ross, short for Ross with two S's, after his father. Being clowns, they were only physically funny, but could not hold a conversation for the life of them. They moved from town to town, showing off their talents at the Three-Ring Circus. Their crowd-pleasing grand finale was fighting the fire and saving the damsel in distress way up atop a tall building. Ethelros had to learn to be the fire captain and climb, or as they called it, level the ladder to rescue the damsel in distress. No matter how hard he tried, as a captain he could not level. I thought I'd make it through without laughing, dang it. He decided to scrub the captain and move on to another job. But what? After setting up the circus in a town which will not be named, for fear of retribution, there was a real actual fire very close to the circus. The only chance to save the building was if the clowns of the circus could put out the fire. They took it as a sign to be heroes. The clowns started to leave, but Ross told Ethelros to stay behind. He did not know how to level and was left behind. Oh my gosh. They all left to fight the fire, but they never made it. The next morning, Ethelros read the devastating newspaper. The headline read, 200 clowns injured when car hit lamp. Ethelros was crushed, probably like the clowns. He vowed to avenge his parents against that infamous lamp. Through the week he gathered an unlikely fellowship to battle the lamp. The sleepy man, bored I'm here. The grim bearded lady, Grimly. The man who had to be carried in a wagon because he had no legs, legless. The magician, Randolph. And there were 4 little ones. The African one, a Frodo. The jerk, Samwise guy. The grumpy one, not so merry. And Pippin. As the week ended, they told the ringmaster they were going to do battle with the lamp. They even gave themselves a name, Fellowship to Attack Infamous Lamp, or Fail. The ringmaster presided over the departure. The Fellowship is setting out on a quest to destroy the lamp, which injured so many of our clowns. From the side, Ethel and Ross were sitting drinking tea. Really, darling, we're fine. The ringmaster continued. Those who will travel with him, no oath nor bound is laid to go further than you will. The mother chimed in, Really, we're quite fine. Have a spot of tea. May you hold to your purpose, and may the blessings of bearded ladies, legless people, and all the freak folk go with you. The father interrupted, How about a crumpet of jelly? Together, the 9 companions marched on the lamp. As they approached it, they could smell the foul stench of battle approaching. They charged on the lamp, running faster than they had ever run before, with the exception of Legless, who was left far behind in his wagon. Hello? Can someone give me a push? They drew their swords, yelling and screaming with fervor. They had bottled up since hearing of the injured comrades. They splashed onto the lamp as it fell over. All of them stood up. It was completely silent, except for the crows circling overhead, looking for fresh meat. They looked at the lamp on the field of victory. Well, that's it then, Randolph said. Good show, everybody. Good show. Ethelros bowed his head in silence. May we forget those we lost in this battle. Poor Legless. I'm quite all right, a yell came from the distance. They returned to the circus. They had victory, but Ethelros did not feel right. He visited the train car he and his family lived in. I wish I could see them one last time. Oh, Ethelros, we were just thinking of you. Somebody broke that street lamp we hit, Ross said. How are you, darling? Ethel asked. Oh, there you are, he said with no enthusiasm whatsoever. Not bad, Ethelros said. I avenged you. Oh, jolly good. So they all sat there. Nobody spoke for a while. I hear they have carp at the market, Ethel said. Oh? Ross said. Silence. What's the price? Doesn't say. Oh. Silence. Atheros got up. I need to talk slightly more. Really, Atheros, Ethel said. You talk too much. Clowns don't talk. I want to become a podcaster. Talk more and show my exciting side. Ethelros retorted, very monotone. But you're a clown, dear, Ethel said. It's in your blood. I just want to perform for millions of unseen people.
Unseen people.
How will you know they're there? Ross questioned. That's the great thing. You don't, Ethelros replied. And that's what I like about it. Well, you have fun, dear, Ethel said. And please, stop being such a blabbermouth. So Atheros became a podcaster. He spoke more than ever before. A full 0.0001% of the podcast is him speaking. The rest is history. I don't even...
There's some truth to that podcasting part.
There's so much in this origin story that I can't. The best part though has to be the can't level the captain part. That was so brilliant because you don't expect that to be where that's going, and so. Oh my goodness. Zinger from the chat says, "Lol, hilarious, great work, Tim." Like Yada says, "That's brilliant." This has just been
I still haven't
crazy.
leveled him.
You still haven't leveled him. That's right. Oh man. So
Yeah.
that happened.
Yeah. Thanks to Tim for coming up with this.
That was
Apparently
awesome,
I'm
Tim.
worthy of it.
That was fun.
Right.
I like that
And
he put
it's-
the whole fellowship together.
He did, and you know Grimly is apparently part of the Fellowship. So there's just like the amount of time that and thought that went into this is either very very small or very very high. Either one is worrying, Tim. You need help. But thank you so much for sending this in. That was awesome. Yeah.
And if you
This-
have an origin, and if you have an origin story, you could contact us and email us at lotraplayers.mymiddleearth@gmail.com.
Any of you millions of unseen people.
Yes, and you could follow us on Twitter, Lotro Players, at Lotro Players, Andang at PVMP_Andang, Braxwolf at Braxwolf, Sithrith at Sithrith, Draculetta at Draculetta_72, Ethelros at Ethelros, Lilykate at Lilykate Buggins, Mystery at Mystery XOX, and Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles. You could join us live for Lotro Players News each week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's United States Eastern Time at lotroplayers.com/live. You can also join us on Langeville for the Lotro Players Adventures each week at 5 p.m. Eastern. That will not be broadcast live, but you can join us in-game on Langeville. We are currently at about level 60. Thank you everyone for listening, and this is Pineleaf Needles saying to remember to skirmish responsibly.
What in the world happened today?